right. Well, looks like I am now live. A lot longer delay between casting in the stream right now, but it looks like it's working. Let me see if I can get some sound. I am now live. A lot longer delay between. Okay, no, that's good. I seem to be at a good sound level right now. Stream is running. I will keep Twitch chat up. Can I pop this out? No, just popped out the viewer list. Chat. Pop out. Hey, there we go. That's what I wanted. And is it on the side thing? It is on the side thing. Coolio. Well, the teams are getting into lobby right now, and the reason I wanted to start up early was, once again, just to run over how general tournament structure is working. So we are in round 3 of the NACC qualifiers. Now, what that means for Georgia Tech is that they have 2 more rounds to get to before getting into the top 8. Top 8 then go into seasonal play, which will start up in January and play through February, to establish who the top 4 teams going to the NACC finals will be. Now, Georgia Tech got a first round bye yesterday, and then they played their second round yesterday against University of North Florida. They won 2-0, 2 very convincing games. Not flawless, but convincing. And they are now moving on to day 2 action. Their round 3 matchup will be against Virginia Commonwealth University, otherwise known as VCU. They won both of their games yesterday, winning the first one 2-1 against LSU A&M, and then they won 2-0 against another opponent whose name does not rightfully come to mind. But all in all, they were 4-1 on the day, 2-0 in their matches. So it's been a pretty good day, and I'm going to go a little silent while I type because I cannot type and talk to save my soul. Now, boom. All right, so I put out notes on Twitter and on the Facebooks. So we should be good to go today. As you can see, I am waiting for the teams to start up. They are in the team select lobby, which is good. We learned yesterday that I, the spectator, cannot be in the lobby. I have to assume that this is due to the fact that they want to protect any possible leaks of summoner spells in the pick ban phase. They want it to be completely blank, and even if I put on summoner blockers, I still technically have the ability to see what those pick bans are, or not pick bans, what the summoner spells are in the pick ban phase, which may be a gray area for the teams. So since they have chosen this route, I cannot be in the lobby when they make the games, but should the other team allow it, I am allowed to spectate from the outside and watch the games then. So we are hoping that Virginia Commonwealth will allow us to stream the games, and hopefully we'll learn whether or not we can stream soon. Let me actually ask. Spelled correctly, or VCU. All right, and hopefully Asian Devil will let us know. Asian Devil kind of working as, I believe he is captain coordinator for the team. He's at very least the coach. They don't mind. Yay! So we'll stream. All right, awesome. TV/CCG Pepitas in case they do. I know someone out there is like, dude, you type so slow. I'd be like, yeah, I do. You should see my handwriting. Handwriting's even slower. It's crazy. Well, while we wait for everything to kick off here, let us go over some stats here. I have been able to compile some stats here for VCU. I assume if you're watching the stream, you've had the availability to watch what we did yesterday with Georgia Tech. So let's cover what VCU did in their games yesterday. So what I have here is this is a statistics chart that I did of VCU. One thing I want to note as we move through the chart here is Eckert and Earnwoo, they actually switched roles in between their first and second sets. So Eckert took top lane in their first set against LSU A&M. You can see he played Fiora, Hecarim, and the Gnar, and then he finished and switched on to Jungle Vi in their next best-of-3 series, which they won 2-0. Earnwoo, you can see, took Lee Sin here in his first game. That was Lee Sin Jungle, and then did Jungle Vi to finish out their first best-of-3 set before switching to top lane in the next series, playing Jason Rumble. SN Kaze played through mid lane all 5 games yesterday, playing Lulu, Anivia, Orianna, Anivia again, and Fizz. So 4 champions in 5 games. Not bad versatility there. Apto Doom played Jinx and Tristana through the 5 games. And then the Crimson Rage, who will be their support player, played Tom Kench, 2 games on Braum, 1 on Alistar, and 1 on Galio. Galio being the interesting pick there, actually picked up a Medjai Soul Stealer in that game, which was very interesting. So running through the statistics here, first off, you can look at some KDAs. Impressive mid lane KDA here of 11.1. Really solid games from SN Kaze. Even as I go through percentage of team damage, he was at about 30.6%. He had a kill participation rating of 69.8, which is really nice. Even ward coverage, I think 17.6 wards placed for a mid laner is okay. I really don't think that's that bad. And his CS was pretty decent at 250. Unfortunately, the statistics charts on Battlefy, while they have been great and a huge step up from the regular tournament, did not include minutes. So I have not been able to do a CS or gold per minute evaluation. That's one of the reasons why you don't see gold on this chart, is because I believe gold is actually a pretty worthless statistic unless you have time to put next to it. So unfortunately, I did not have the time to put another layer onto these statistics. But otherwise, some other trends I was looking at. Well, the one that really comes to me is in all 4 of their victories, they have used Jungle Vi. The only game they lost, they had Lee Sin jungle. That was Earnwoo taking the Lee Sin into the jungle. He went 1-6-3. Otherwise, when the team has had Vi, they have won every single game. Now, do I think that does that move Vi into the priority ban list here for Georgia Tech? I don't really think so. I don't think it's that terribly necessary. While it is clear that they have a favorite towards it, if they pick it in game when it does well and Georgia Tech feels the need to ban it, I would say then move it to the ban priority. They could just throw Vi out there immediately and just see how the enemy team deals with the fact that there is no Vi in the game. But you can look through the bans list. So I have the bans here from their first 5 games. There was not a single jungler, unless this was a Kha'Zix jungle, there was not a single jungler banned in their entire pick ban history. So they had the ability to pick Elise, Rek'Sai, Lee Sin, any of the junglers they could have possibly wanted were open, and they went to Vi immediately, which Vi is kind of a warning sign to me. If you are a team that has to pick Vi to win, that leads me to believe that you have to rely on picks and that your macro strategies aren't necessarily in a good enough place for you to win the game flat out. Now, I'm willing to be wrong here. I'm willing to, absolutely say, hey, no, this is just a champ that their junglers are really good with. But the fact that you had 2 players pick this up and play it in 4 of your 5 games means that you have you as a team have become reliant on the jungle Vi. But I'm going to temper this by saying they've had some really interesting versatility in the top lane. Top lane for them has actually seen 5 different champions in all 5 games. First 3 games you had Eckhart on Fiora, Hecarim, and Gnar, and then Earn Wu in his 2 games played Jason Rumble. That is pretty remarkable versatility in what they want to do with their top lane. They've shown that they can throw in some really heavy AD damage in there with the Jace to build a poke comp. They have Rumble for teamfight comps, Gnar, Hecarim, and Fiora for I just feel general picks. But I will say Earn Wu, once he got on the Jace, actually had tremendous percent team damage. Jace, once again, great poke champion, really does allow you to put in a lot more damage into your top lane situation like this. He cranked out 31% of his team's damage in that game, which is really high for a top laner. Actually, it's just really high, period. I think the only time another person on his... twice SN Kaze put together higher percent team damage. He had an Anivia game where he was 34% and an Orianna where he was 32%. But otherwise, really remarkable game from that Jace to pick up a 31.6% team damage. Or remarkably higher. I will say Earn Wu's percent team damage much higher than Eckhart when Eckhart was playing. He had a Fiora game where he was 28.7, but otherwise his Hecarim sat at 14.9 and then an 18.7 on Gnar. So you move it to Earn Wu. Earn Wu picked up a 31.6 and a 26.5. Really, really solid percent team damage there. I'm expecting Earn Wu to be top in these next 2 games, as I felt that he got a lot more out of the top lane role than Eckhart did in his games in their first series. His Hecarim, even in their wins, looking at their wins only, Hecarim 1-4-9, and then Gnar at 4-4-8. Not terribly effective games, whereas you look at Earn Wu on his top laners, you have a Jace at 6-2-6, and you have a Rumble at 5-3-8. Leads me to believe that it will be Earn Wu in the top lane. The one thing that's really perturbing me, it's in their Game 5 Rumble. 5-3-8, which is a decent kill-death assist ratio. 101 CS. Now, given I don't have a timestamp for this game, but I'd have to assume that it at least got past 20 minutes. And 101 CS on a Rumble past 20 minutes is not a good effort. Now, this could have been a lane swap situation. There are a lot of factors that could have gone into making this a very difficult matchup, but we cannot see that. So until I can see proof otherwise, I'm going to have to take that as a fault and possibly something that can be exploited. We know he'll be going up against Uke if he does go into the top lane. And Uke, his CS differential yesterday was usually between 60 to 80 to even 100 against his opposing top laner. So he's going to have a hard time if he keeps up a CS effort like that. Now, other things to take note of. I looked at the Crimson Rage. He did not have a great Tahm Kench game, but almost every other one of his games, I felt had a decent performance. His kill participation in the final 2 games in the LSU A&M series were above 90%, which was really good. He was in 18 of the 21 kills in their second game, and he was in 20 of their 21 kills in the third game, which was spectacular. That's 95% kill participation. Really, really solid. Actually, he even had 2 performances where his supports got above 10% of the team damage, which is, it's nice. It's a nice bonus if your support's putting out that much damage. Sure, there are some other factors where you're like, oh, well, who dipped out of damage for him to come up that high in the ranking? But we'll move past that. And the one other standout performance here for me was looking at SN Kaze. His Fizz Game 5, 16-1-1 performance. Picked up 190 CS. Really, really big performance. He wasn't, outstanding on percent of team damage. Actually, only was 29% of his team's damage in that game. But still, 16-1-1 is one heck of a performance. So look for Fizz to maybe be a pocket strat of some sort as we move on. And yes, the teams are in Champion Select right now. So we will be able to hop in and view them as soon as they move to in-game. So that is nice. And you know what? While I've got the time here, I'll switch over to the GT chart, show you how they did. They only played 2 games yesterday. They got a bye in their first round series, so they didn't have to play the first best of 3. So all we have is the second best of 3. We see a KDA of 10 for Yuke. That is a per game KDA. His overall KDA was 20. He hasn't taken a death. He's had 8 kills. He's had 12 assists over the 2 games. One thing to really look out for, though, is the fact that he has 28% of his team's damage from the top lane. He did get to play Gnar and Vladimir, both high damage top laners, which I think were really solid picks for him. I think his warding could come up here in the next couple of games, especially as game times get longer. Both their games were over by about the 25-minute mark yesterday, so not really a huge chance to get some gaudy warding numbers. Otherwise, we also see Asian Devil. He went 0-0-11 in their first game as Bard, went 0-1-12 on Thresh, leading to a KDA per game of 11.5. Overall, tournament KDA of 23, as he had 23 assists, only 1 death, and no kills. Warding, he actually was able to get out 20 per game. Considering the game length, he was almost on about a ward a minute. Very nice ward coverage numbers coming from your support. And let's see, what were some other numbers? I do think is that him had a good first game, went 4-0-5 on Ahri, finished up with another Ahri performance, 6-2-3. Outside of one really silly play where he was baited into diving in between the first and second tier turrets by Saber. They were trying to kill a jungle Gragas of all things, where both of them died to a Zed mid laner. Really kind of delayed the game a little bit, which is odd to say for a 25-minute game, but if they didn't give those 2 kills over to Zed, it would have been a much easier mid-game. The numbers, all in all, are pretty good, except for, and I told him after the games yesterday, Saber picking up a 2.6 KDA over the 2 games. Both of them were pretty easy wins for Georgia Tech, but the fact that your jungler is dying 4 times a game against less than stellar opponents, really not a good sign. Saber just admitted that he was doing some stupid things yesterday and said he was going to fix them. I'm hoping they are fixed as we head into this game, and now I should be able to check. Yeah, they are in game. So I can now move to spectate, and we have 2.5 minutes. So we're going to move it on over. That's the end of the spreadsheet portion of today's stream. So I'm sure everybody's like, spreadsheets, yay! So let's look. We've got GT on the blue side, and on the red side, we will have VCU. Now, we do not get to see the bans that went into this game, but we can see a couple of things coming out. We see the jungle Kha'Zix is in here for VCU. I'm going to guess that was probably due to a Vi ban, so we'll have to see how their team does off of the jungle Vi pick. Let's look at Georgia Tech's team composition here. We will have Yuke on top lane Renekton. He is so good on those top lane bullies. He's going to be going up against the top lane Fiora. This is one of the best skill matchups out there. The play between the Riposte and the Ruthless Predator from Renekton, it's really a stun duel. So if Fiora pops her Riposte early and doesn't counter the stun, that's going to leave her very vulnerable to a lot of damage coming out from Renekton, as he'll finish up the Riposte time with a Ruthless Predator, get an incredible long stun duration and immobility duration off of the Fiora. That's going to be really good for him if he can win that head-on-head kind of mind game. Otherwise, we have Kindred versus Kha'Zix in the jungle. Both of them very AD-oriented junglers. I'm going to be interested to see who can be really aggressive in this situation. I'd look for Saber to really force the issue against Kha'Zix, probably pick up 1 or 2 kills in VCU's jungle. We're going to have Lux in the mid lane facing off against Orianna. Not really expecting too much here. These are 2 pretty solid wave clear type champions. Probably look for Lux to get roaming a little bit, even though the teleport is on the side of Orianna. I think with Lux's added range onto the ultimate, I'd expect to see a couple of ultis flying towards the bottom lane to help him pick up some kills. Then in the bottom, we have Tahm Kench Jinx, which is a great, absolutely fantastic combination, going up against Tristana Braum, which I also think is a pretty good combination. And as we move on to the next part, as we have now worn through the spectator delay, wow, 2.5 minutes really goes fast when you're actually covering all the champions that are in the game. We are going to move on to the loading screen here, trying to make sure that what is going onto your screen is the loading screen. Waiting it out, just black screen so far. Well, it looks like it's continuing onto black screen, which is not bueno. Yeah, well, we'll keep the, there we go. We'll take the image off for now, and then I'll manually put it back in when we get into game. Loading will happen very quick here. Yeah, you can already hear the sounds. The gong has rung, and we are about to hop into game. Yes, there we go. Alright. And now while we do loadouts here, I will move everyone into their correct places on the scoreboard on the bottom here, just so everybody at home can keep up and compare the champions with their lane opponents. It's going to be really interesting to see how teams start out here. It looks like... Yeah, so we actually have Earnwoo is going to be in the jungle. Eckhart will be top lane. And we are seeing... Oh, no. Now it's going to be 3. They're starting to spread out a little bit. I saw a really consolidated movement coming out here from the red team. But it turns into much more of a line of scrimmage start. It's going to be interesting to see whether top laners start with their junglers or whether we go to a much more conventional setup. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about, and I take this as really good learnings from Georgia Tech about the strengths of compositions and their champions. With
30 seconds
2, I would call Lux a more towards late game carry. With the Jinx in this backline, they have 2 very squishy backliners that will force you to dive onto them to kill them. You're not going to be able to outpoke them, especially not with a team that VCU has put forward. So the enemy team here, VCU, is going to have to come through the front line of Georgia Tech to try and get to... Actually, and I need to add Kindred to this list. So the Kindred, the Jinx, and the Lux, they're going to have to eat through a Tahm Kench and what will be a very big Renekton to get to those backlaners. This is the time that Renekton thrives. When it's not Renekton having to chase you down, but you having to try and get through Renekton is when he absolutely shines. And it's going to be very difficult here for VCU to eat through the Renekton of Youth to get to the backlaners, or the backliners, not laners, the backliners of Georgia Tech. So I think compositionally, I really give an edge here to GT. It's going to have to be a very unique ball carrier situation. I think with either the Kha'Zix or the Fiora to make use of the Orianna pick, so we'll wait and see how that turns out. But an early level 2 here by Asian Devil, since they took Gromps, but Rice Fox apparently was not on the same level with the leveling up here. Asian Devil does have his consume up on Crimson Rage. Does not look like he's going to use it. Rice Fox brought very low with a good Tristana usage up for E, trying to take advantage of their level advantage while they had it. But now Rice Fox is level 2. Either Chompers or Zap have come into play here. We'll have to wait for some CC to come down to be able to tell which. Asian Devil just throwing out the Q, trying to see what can land. Not a whole lot of damage, more just I'm going to inconvenience you. You pushing early on, as Renektons often do. Pretty hard not to push on Renekton early on. the Cull always does enough damage to really take out the smaller sized minions. Usually the squishier ones in the back lane, those caster minions really do go down quite easy. We're seeing Eckhart not really being able to pop the Vital. There we go, there's a pop. But as soon as he goes in to pop that Vital, Yuke answers back with the Ruthless Predator, forces him to take a little bit of damage. So even with the heal that he got from the Vitality pop, does not escape scot-free. Is that him keeping the CS equal here in the mid lane, but he is taking a lot of damage. Kha'Zix's already back for the improved jungle item. They have spotted out the fact that Kindred is here towards the top lane, looking to get in on the top lane action between Fiora and Renekton, but as everything is right now, small CS leads all around the map, but nothing substantial here, nothing to say anyone's really gotten a lead out of this early game. Yuke dealing some good damage to Eckhart, but Eckhart has 3 red pots still left to go. Still has a ward, which he got thanks to their jungle starting position. He spaced, went back and got it. Oh, Yuke does not get the Ruthless Predator to go through. Instead, it gets riposted back. He gets stunned up and has to take a lot of damage. So that was the first big shot to really land on Yuke here. As far as damage that he's had to eat, he's going to have to pop one of his 4 red pots to deal with that damage. Ernwu gets caught out by Saber, who is able to catch him. The Q lands from Is That Him, but it will not be enough damage to really stick. Saber is able to get the 3rd hit in there with the E to take out a substantial bit of damage. Crimson Rage tries to get towards the mid lane to help out, but he's also going to be spotted by Asian Devil. That's going to leave Rice Fox in a one-on-one with the Tristana here. Not a great matchup for Jinx as far as a one-on-one, but Saber and Is That Him are going to try and push in the Orianna here, try and buy some time for Is That Him to get back to base, stop, and run back to lane. You're seeing the base there behind the safety of the pink ward that they have in River, making sure that Kha'Zix isn't going to come and get that final hit down. Yuke has been able to recover his health since the poor riposte trade, and he is feeling a lot better about life in this lane right now. Eckhart is now completely out of red pots, so that means any trade he does with Yuke from now on, he is going to be risking the remaining health he has, with very little health regen left in his kit outside of Vital Pops. And Vital Pops can leave you exposed, as your opponent does know where you have to go for it. So as soon as you go in, you are at the mercy of your reflexes versus the, in this case, the Ruthless Predator stuck. Now we see Kindred making sure to take the Scuttle Crab there in the topside jungle. It has been marked due to the passive, so as he takes that Scuttle Crab, that will allow higher damage to come through. Eckhart does miss the riposte, has to eat a Ruthless Predator, but not a terrible trade, as Yuke was not in a good position to get a substantial amount of damage across there. He was so close to turret, he knew stepping any further forward would have left him exposed to a lot of damage. I like SN Kaze. He is able to clear the pink ward from the top side river. That is a good bit of investment from the Georgia Tech team that has been taken away now. Is that him trying to trade damage onto SN Kaze? Both of them started out with the Chalice of Harmonies, so not a whole lot of damage is going to be coming out between the two onto each other, especially between the 2 shields. Both of them have their shields on E. They're going to be eating up a lot of damage, and with their MR already raised, I don't really know how either of them are going to get a substantial amount of damage through. Like, look at that. With the E shield from Kaze, even a binding land into a slow field, even with an auto attack passive burst, is not going to do much in this lane. He's going to have to be, I'd say, a good bit more careful. I think he's on the lower side of the damage trade right now than his opponent, the Orianna. Winning this one out early, it's going to be the late game where those Qs landing, slowing, stunning, well, not stunning, but sparing, will be a much bigger deal. Whereas the upfront damage right now from Orianna just cannot be equalized. Asian Devil out here trying to fight off Apto and the Crimson Rage. He is able to do a good bit of damage, only taking what could be clearly kind of eaten away by the great help here on Tom Kent. Rice Fox having a much easier time farming. He has opened up what is now a 20 CS lead as they are freezing the wave on their side of the turrets. We've seen top lane. Yu has now started to open up into an early CS lead here. He was able to pick up a Phage on his first reel back. He's also got a pink ward ready to go to place in river once his trinket ward is down there. He is facing down a pickaxe from Eckhart, so not really equal on the trade fight. Oh, but you're seeing Yuke there. He does have his Ruthless Predator denied by the riposte. Deals a lot of damage coming into him. And now he has already pre-popped his ulti. Eckhart now using the Grand Challenge. They are both going on to Yuke as much as they can. Saber uses the ultimate to deny the death. But unfortunately for them, there's not enough damage to deal with the Kha'Zix Fiora combo. Both of them go down on a risky trade. They knew they wanted to dive, but they did not have vision onto Ernwu, or to Emwu. That's Emwu. I've been reading it Ernwu the entire time. Onto Emwu. He was able to get in undetected, got in there, provided a lot of damage, especially after the first champion goes down and you are left exposed and vulnerable. That is when that Kha'Zix is going to put out a lot of damage. So what was a great lead in top lane is now flipped on its head as Eckhart picks up a kill and an assist. He's got a Tiamat now against just the Phage and Cloth Armor of Yuke. And that is going to change the dynamic of that top lane, especially the 2v2s with the junglers, quite dramatically. Both junglers have now finished their warrior trinket enchantments. Or not trinket, warrior jungle enchantments, whatever we call them. So they're going to be doing quite a bit more damage, but I think this really is in the favor of the Kha'Zix, who is going to be putting out a lot of damage. He's looking to get in on Is That Him. Is That Him has been able to actually put some damage onto SN Oh, but he does not know that Kha'Zix isn't waiting. There goes the shockwave. The shields are going to try and block as much as he can from Emwu. Emwu even gets snared up under turret, but does not go down. Does eat a lot of damage here. They tried to get the ultimate from Rice Fox in, but he will be finished up. The teleport from Yuke comes in at a good time. Saber closes off the other form of escape, and they are able to pick up a kill, but they have left Eckhart alone on the top tower. He's putting some substantial damage onto it. Yuke should be able to stop the tower going down, and actually does pick up double buff, which should help him deal with the fact that his opposing laner did pick up a red buff. His red buff is now down. It is red buff advantage to Yuke. First dragon goes over to Georgia Tech. A good change in the gold there should help Georgia Tech deal with the fact that they did have 3 kills put up against them before they could answer. Eckhart, wow, takes a good bit of damage from Yuke there in the short trade. So we're seeing 20 CS lead in top, 10 CS lead for VCU in the middle, and then Georgia Tech takes a 25 CS lead in the bottom lane. So CS right now in Georgia Tech's favor, but the kills still 3-1 in VCU's favor, giving them a small gold lead right now. It is about 700, 600 gold. Can VCU find somewhere on the map to make a play? Right now, they were able to get a good pick on mid. They were able to land the shockwave onto Is That Him, take him by surprise, make sure that Mwu's damage spike here in the mid game is being utilized. But their first 2 kills really came as a counteraction. It was their reaction to the mid lane dive. Is That Him will have the shockwave land against him again, and Wu is right there. They are really taking advantage of the low mobility on this Lux. Also the fact that Lux does not have immediate wave clear. If this was, say, maybe a Victor or maybe even a Xerath, this damage might have stuck a little bit better, but here they go. They are diving hard onto Eckhart, and Eckhart will go down. The damage between Saber and Yuke is enough to take down the enemy top laner, and now they will make a push onto this top lane turret. Will they be able to get it? Yeah, they're going to be able to get it. And now we will focus down onto the bottom lane here. Rise Fox still keeping up his CS lead. Mwu now trying to come in. No, I think that is Earnwu. It looks so much like Mwu. I hate it when R's and N's are right next to each other. No, no, no. If I'm looking at the names on the side, it looks like Mwu. See, this is just going to get to me. I'm going to say Mwu now because it looks more like it on the sides than it does on the name right above his health bar. So we're going to stick with Mwu for the rest of the time. VCU getting some great deep wards into Georgia Tech's jungle right now. They are able to take Saber's red buff, and they are able to spot him out. Saber is going to walk straight into Mwu and the Crimson Rage, who are here together. Saber trying to stick inside of his own ultimate. There goes the ultimate by Lux, not able to pick up Mwu, but now they're able to get it. Crimson Rage is now stunned, or he's now stared up by Is That Him. There goes a great zap by the Jinx. They are able to get a double on Is That Him. Oh, great devour there by Asian Devil to keep Is That Him alive. A good light binding will stop SN Kaze from picking up the kill. And now Rice Fox is excited. Rice Fox picks up the double. That is a 4 for... Oh, no. Saber did go down. A 4-for-1 trade here for Georgia Tech as VCU made an aggressive move. They were able to pick off the enemy mid laner, but their escape was not clearly covered. Is That Him, Asian Devil, and Rice Fox were able to move into their jungle, cut off the escape, put some great damage down, and now that is going to cost them the mid-tier 1 turret. Wow, what a turnaround here for Georgia Tech. That's going to put them 2,000 gold up. This has been an absolutely crippling turn of events here for VCU. They started off so strong. Okay, here comes the grand challenge on Team Eckert. Now we'll have to deal with the 2-1 as Saber has come into the lane. He's going to stop him up. Saber picks up a kill. Saber now 1-2-2. It was a rough start, but things are starting to turn around for him. They are clearly utilizing the strength of Yuke's Renekton here in the top lane, even against a strong Fiora right now, who got off to a good start, actually was part of those 2 early kills. They are now turning that around, utilizing the real lack of escape on Fiora to power up their jungler, who really does well based on some early gold and some early kills. So, other things we're starting to notice, Rice Fox is going to start pulling away here very, very soon unless VCU is careful. That trade in the Georgia Tech jungle has really left Rice Fox on a power spike. He now has his high E, he has an Avarice Blade, he's going to farm up very, very well, and he is a finished item and a good partial piece against an unfinished Infinity Edge on the side of Apto Doom. So, it's really going to be on VCU to find farm for Apto right now, because their Tristana has some farm, but being down these kills and assists are not going to help. He needs the gold income to even out the damage here, because even assuming all things equal, Jinx will outscale Tristana into the late game. Tristana actually has much more of a mid-game power spike, as opposed to her old self, which was very, very late-game focused. Now it is much more towards the mid-game and the sieging of turrets, and the fact that they have not been able to get this bottom tower down yet does not bode well for them. They were able to get the mid tower down, as Georgia Tech had base at the time. They were able to take advantage of that. Here comes the Kha'Zix, but he's not going to be able to stop that from going down. It is 3 turrets to 1 here, as only that mid-tier 1 turret is down on Georgia Tech's side, and the dragon is coming up. It's going to be very interesting to see how VCU plans to contest this. Teleport is up for both top laners, but we're actually seeing both of them running to the pit right now. Oh, the Crimson Rage is able to stop the E from the Lux from getting through. SN Kaze is now all on his own. He's going to be devoured here. And bye-bye, Orianna. That's going to be Is That Him picking up the kill. He moves to 3, 2, and 3. And now Georgia Tech moves on into mid lane. They are going to probably make a push here to try and get the mid tower down. No, they're going to move off. They're going to move into the enemy team's jungle, try and establish some vision here. They know that VCU is sticking together. The light bindings now are starting to land, and they're starting to land very quickly. One of the big pluses here for Georgia Tech is the fact that it is a finished Chalice of, no, Athene's Unholy Grail. For Is That Him, that's going to give him the CDR and mana regen to really keep all of that CC for Georgia Tech coming out in short order. Yuke has pushed in the wave. They now have a Jinx onto that top lane tower. Emwu trying to get in and do some damage. Oh, but there's the light binding from the side. It's a flank. Crimson Rage is so close to gone, but he is not going to be finished off. Eckert with a good riposte there to save him. Oh! But you thought they had one snipe ultimate. They got two. Is That Him comes through with the, God, what do we call that now? Final Spark, I think it is. Oh, Yuke and Saber coming in for the side gank here. Trying to pick him up, but Saber is so low. But he's going to be eaten up by Asian Devil before the damage can land. The ult is out and popped from Saber. They were not able to take the top turret down, but they will take Raptors in a cheeky response here, just saying no more vision denial for you. What Georgia Tech plans to do now, though, is yet to be seen. They are able to clear out some pinks here in the topside jungle of VCU. VCU's vision here getting denied pretty quickly. Emwu is now going to run into Asian Devil and Yuke over at this blue buff. Will Georgia Tech be able to take this pink board? Yes, they will. So now comes the time where VCU is going to have to start ceding some vision. Concessions have to be made since they have lost a couple of these fights. Renekton is getting big and getting big fast. He already has a Black Cleaver finished. We'll look to see what his next major item will be. It looks like it's either going to be Dead Man's Plate or a Sunfire Cape. Maybe, no, not a Randuin's, because Randuin's would have had Warden's Mail in it. Does look to be a Blade of the Rune King next coming up for Saber. He's got the pieces of it. We have not yet seen what's going to come out from Is That Him. He is 4-2-4 right now. Looks like he will be going straight for the death cap. And a finished Static Shiv has come in for Rice Fox. I do like the buy here from Asian Devil. He has picked up... Oh! Saber here is caught in a one-on-one on Emwu. He does not have his ultimate to get away. Emwu is able to pick up the kill. So there we go. Kha'Zix finding a pick for himself, staying outside of the vision of Georgia Tech just long enough to get a kill. Now that the jungler is down here for Georgia Tech, do they feel like they can do the Baron? No. But it does look like they are going to pressure into this top lane where it is Asian Devil holding his own right now. And we're trying to use some moves there. Ooh! Crimson Rage and Kaze trying to get in onto Is That Him. Is That Him uses a good flash to dodge a lot of the damage. Shockwave is still up for Kaze. Apto taking a good bit of damage. I would assume that that is from Asian Devil. Interesting. The Tom Kench, the 006 Tom Kench, putting out the damage. But he has his Aegis right now. He's got Merc Treads on. He has a finished Sightstone. I'm not sure how I feel about... This is one of the things that really does get me about Kindred, is the lack of Sightstone on your jungler. It really takes out a lot of potential vision advantage. But the damage and the ultimate has been big factors here, especially against the Kha'Zix, who is not getting the reset that he needs to jump in and out and be around these team fights. That denial of death right now really kind of sealing his fate, that once he jumps in, he's going to have to stay there and deal with the rest of Georgia Tech. Ooh! Good QW combo here coming out. That does a lot of damage onto Is That Him. He's got some biscuits to eat should he choose to heal himself right now. GG, they are playing the baiting game right now. Eckert is pushing top lane all alone. He does have teleport to get up into the top lane should they feel the need for it. But right now, Georgia Tech clearly just wanting to wait this one out. Emwu is able to clear a ward. There goes the Bilge Water active, trying to catch on to Emwu, but Emwu will get out. Asian Devil's ultimate does go to waste here, but the Tom Kench ultimate, not really a huge ultimate. It's not going to win you the team fight. Maybe get you a nice pick or a follow-up, but it's not going to be the end-all be-all. Georgia Tech does start up on the Baron. They've got it down to half remarkably quick. The mid laner and top laner, for VCU, not even close. There will be no response here from VCU. Georgia Tech does pick it up. Now, Eckhart had already based. I'm assuming to set up maybe a home guards. No, he doesn't even have home guards. But to heal and get ready for a teleport into the bottom lane, that did not come. The opportunity did not present itself. Here is where Asian Devil, I'm sure, would like to have his ultimate to get behind the Tristana, but sadly he does not have it. They have not been able to use the Baron-empowered recalls yet, as they have had to defend this top lane and mid lane. And now comes an interesting call. Do you start the siege engine up with your Baron buff, or do you go for the dragon? Had Eckhart not based, I could have seen VCU potentially moving off and doing dragon as a trade for Baron. Might have been the healthier option, considering the fact that they knew they were going to lose Baron once they started to move towards it. Had they instead shifted all their attention over to dragon, might have been able to pick it up as a response or a trade, but since they decided to contest the Baron, even though they couldn't really get there in time, they lost the opportunity for an easy dragon, and they will now have to face Georgia Tech coming in. There is Hughes coming into the pit. It is a full disengage here from VCU. They will get away cleanly as they were able to bust down the dragon without too much of a response, and it will be 2-1 in the dragon game here. Drag 5 is delayed for a while, but here comes Georgia Tech. They've got a Baron. They've got 2 ADCs right now to put out some pretty solid damage. Let's see what they can do. Binding does not land, but the Q from Tom Kenchar. Here comes a slow field, putting in some good damage onto Kaze and the Crimson Rage. Yeah, they're still able to clear. I was worried about the clear here from VCU. I didn't know whether they'd have enough to clear the Baron-empowered minions, but they are still doing quite well as far as being able to get the minion waves out of here, put down the damage. And we keep the siege on going, but the Baron is still strong. They've still got a quarter of it left to go. Will they be able to take this mid tower? The Crimson Rage has already lost a considerable bit of health. He's not... Oh! Apto Doom takes some big damage here. There goes the shield. If the ultimates come out flying quick here from Georgia Tech, they might be able to take out the AD carry without even being in range for damage from VCU. But they will back out. They will take the win of taking the tower and not really force a fight here. I would like to correct the statement I made earlier saying that I thought it would be a defensive second item here for you. He has instead chosen the aggressive route. Asian Devil here using a very aggressive ulti to get in behind his opponents that had gone to defend the tier 2 turret. Saber using his ultimate to tank the entire attention of the enemy team, while Rice Fox was able to take down the tower. Interesting use of ult there for siege. I did not see that one coming. To get back to the point I was making, right before all that craziness happened, Yuke has actually chosen to go with the Titanic Hydra. I believe it's Titanic Hydra. Titanic Hydra, yes. That is where his giant spell went to, so that is a second AD damage item coming out, really before he goes into a full tank route. We are seeing a Hydra build of its own on the opposing side for Eckhart, who has finished a Black Cleaver. That will probably be a Ravenous Hydra, not a Titanic Hydra. Blade of the Rune King has finished here for Saber. I'm interested to see what the other recurve bow is going to go into, potentially a Runon's Hurricane. We do have a Rabdon Step Cap finished for it. Is that him? That's going to be some good solid damage coming out, probably going to be followed up by a Void Stab. And then I'm interested to see what Rice Fox is going to go with the Vamp Scepter. Prevailing thought would be Bloodthirster, maybe a Blade of the Rune King. I don't think he's really chewing through that much health to really justify the buy on that AD carry item. And we have yet to see a finishing on the Aegis for Asian Devil. Looks like it's heading towards a Locket of the Iron Solari. Wow, that one took me too long to remember. Locket of the Iron Solari probably going to come in. But notice, 4 pink wards in inventory here for Georgia Tech. They were able to take that tier 2 mid, and now they are going to take that advantage, use it well, and build up a really tight vision accrual and denial here in the opposing team's jungle. Crimson Rage is using his shield as best he can to stop the damage from coming into towards tech. Right now, it is the only thing stopping the Siege Engine from just running over VCU. Seeing Wolf just go in and out like that. Really kind of funny little graphical scene there. Man, these light bindings coming out for Is That Him are so dangerous. I wish they would follow up the cues from Asian Devil a little bit better. For the most part, they're on point right now. The E's adding a little bit of slow, a little bit of damage. Saber does take a turret hit there for no particular reason. Is That Him gets isolated. Emwu jumps straight on him. Not able to kill him. Here comes Asian Devil. Does use the Devour. Runs it away. Oh, a great shockwave there. Catches up a lot of Jordan tech numbers. But it won't be enough for the kill. There goes the grand challenge. He's not able to get down Yu. Who's putting up all kinds of damage. Nobody dies on Georgia Tech. It's a 5-0 ace. What looked like a great shockwave setup by Kaze there does get denied by the Kindred ultimate. Nobody goes down. Kindred able to keep his teammates in the ulti. His opponents were not in the no-death circle. And that'll be a 4-0 surrender by VCU to end this game. GT, despite a poor start to this game, does recover through the late lane phase, early mid-game, pulls out their advantages and turns to a great Siege Engine to finish out this game. God, who wins my award this time? I'm going to give it to Is That Him. 6-2-7 performance. He got picked out really early for his lack of mobility. We saw Emwu and Kaze really work hard. They used shockwaves and a lot of the Kha'Zix damage to make his kind of mid-lane phase a real pain. But he finishes 6-2-7. He had a 13 out of 15 kill participation, probably somewhere like 88 to 90% kills participated in. Really solid performance coming around from drawing a clear bit of focus there. So good performance there. The teams are, let's see, they're in team select right now. They will probably be hopping into the next phase here very quickly. I should get you to the pick screen. So yes, I'm going to give the nod to Is That Him on the Lux. Great kill participation. Really good instincts on where to be and where to throw out those light bindings. It was his light bindings that really set up that turnaround fight in their jungle where they just traded Saber to get 4 kills. Once again, Saber, the unpretty line here. He finishes 2-3-8, but really not that bad of a performance. His early aggression onto that top tower without vision of Emwu did cost them early, but not to a point where the game was out of reach. He kept up the aggressive play, was able to turn it around, eventually got his damage through. And one of the things that I absolutely love when I look at a team's gold distribution through a game, look at this, Rice Fox 11.5, you see Is That Him at 11.4, Yuke at 11.4. That is really solid gold distribution there. Once again, Yuke coming out with the top CS on the team at 244. Top CS in the game, though, does go to Kaze, who I think put together a good performance. It was him and Emwu that really kind of kept this game together through the early parts. Emwu's presence in that top lane counter gank gave Eckert some time in a lane that he was clearly losing very quickly, and that influx of gold that came off the kill and the assist really kept him in that lane. Emwu was able to do some things with pickoffs. Really was the only thing they had running. Apto never really got off the ground. In fact, he was held down by the Asian Devil Rice Fox lane pretty heavily. 0-2-0, never even got in on an assist. Same with the Crimson Rage. Really didn't have a whole lot of effectiveness, wasn't able to roam into the mid lane to get anything done or to be a part of it. So look for something to change on that end as they go into the next game. And they are actually in Champion Select, so it will be a very, very quick change into the next game. Let's see. Oh, so NACC. It is the North American Collegiate Championship. Sorry, I am just looking at the chat log. Haven't had a time to do it. And if you're wondering about the overlay, yeah, I'm not a graphical designer, so I have not had a graphical overlay since the HUD changes happened in the middle of the season. Haven't done enough casting where I've really felt it necessary to get a new overlay, so apologize for that. But getting back to the NACC, the North American Collegiate Championship, it is a tournament run by Riot Games. These are the open qualifiers. They are set up in regional brackets. We are in the South bracket right now. This is round 3. Teams must pass 4 rounds to reach the top 8. The top 8 will move into season play, which will start up in mid to late January. They'll play in February, and eventually there will be a championship in, I believe, either March or April. And that'll be for some big money. I think, I want to say, 15 to 20K in scholarships to every player on the winning team for the first place team. And then, subsequent scholarships on down. But every team that does make top 8 does get guaranteed scholarship money. So everybody who's playing right now has got something on the line, even if it isn't a whole terrible lot. And we are just waiting for them to finish up Champion Select. If you got any other questions, put them in the chat window. I know I don't read that well from them during the game. I like to actually focus on the game at hand. But while we are out here and I have nothing to commentate on, please shoot me a message. I'll try and answer any questions you have. Oh, did I forget to put the image on? No, I had at least the image in the bottom corner. I at least had something. It wasn't just the game. But yeah, I probably could get team names or something. I used to have a good overlay. I used to have one. Back when I did a good bit more casting, it was definitely better. But I digress, The things that were and once was will never be again. Hi. Yeah, I see your comment. Anything else? Let's see. How many do we got on now? 7. Woo. Whopping numbers there. Big numbers, big numbers, big numbers, no whammy. All right. Yeah. So, just waiting here, waiting for the next game to start up. Champion Select still going on. Let's see, other notes here. I think the composition, once again, worked really well for Georgia Tech. You saw towards their later team fights there, the enemy team, so the team from VCU, really had to try and get through the Tom Kench, had to get through the Renekton to get to the Jinx, to get to the Kindred, to get to Lux. Weren't able to do it, especially with the great Kindred ultimate there from Saber at the last fight, was able to deny a lot of the damage coming through and was able to deny a lot of the deaths. And when you're playing Kha'Zix, you really need people on the enemy team to drop. And I don't mean this in the, oh, of course you want kills to happen. He is a reset-based champion, where as soon as an enemy goes down, he gets the ability to jump again. And with his jump, he can jump and keep on jumping in and out of team fights as he needs to. So in an ideal world, what Kha'Zix can do is jump into a fight, kill an enemy team member very quickly, and jump out. And suddenly it's a 4v5. Kha'Zix isn't in a terrible situation because he's jumped out. Now, if he jumps in, does not secure the kill, and then has to deal with that, that's when it gets really hairy. Because he's jumped in, he's used his only way to get out, getting in, and if that doesn't happen, he doesn't get the second jump. Doesn't get the second jump, he is, well, he's just jumped out of the frying pan and into the fryer. He is just doomed, as he has to sit there. He might be able to use his ultimate, which does let him go invisible for a short period of time, to maybe get out, or maybe just barely get away from some of the melee CC champions, but it is not a great escape. It's not, 100% I'm scot-free. Whereas his jump away is much, much more significant as far as the translation of distance as opposed to the ground he can cover inside of his invisibility. So, I'm going to look for maybe a more traditional jungle pick, other than the Kazakhs. I know the Kazakhs really was their best shot at getting the small pickoffs, which he was decently effective at. But maybe, say, an Elise or Rek'Sai coming in here would not be remiss. It would give them a lot more flexibility as far as setting up pick comps with their other champions. Whereas this really just relied on Kazakhs to do the damage, get the pick off, and that was it. They did not really have a great ball delivery system. I think Kaze played a pretty solid heads-up game in mid, actually had a CS advantage over him. Now, I will say that's largely due to the fact that he got the jungle support to get the kills that he needed. But he had a good performance on the Orianna, maybe with a more traditional jungle pick or a more tanky style top laner. They could really send someone into the enemy team, get the shockwave they need with a good kind of wombo combo composition, and really turn it around. But as the game was, didn't really have that opportunity. I do give a lot of credit to the Crimson Rage. He had some really good use of that Unbreakable Shield. Kept a lot of damage and a lot of CC off of his team members. It allowed them to survive the siege from Georgia Tech really well, despite the fact that Georgia Tech had Baron empowered minions. They had a Lux, a Kindred, and a Jinx. They were able to withstand and really keep their towers under less than stellar conditions. So I give them a lot of credit for that. The teams did go through Champion Select the first time. For whatever reason, someone had to leave. They had to restart Champion Select. So they're going through it a second time right now. We'll be in as soon as Champion Select is over and we can see the champions that they picked. But until then, we are stuck spectating on the outside. Let's see. I should probably send a reminder on Twitter to folks in case they want to watch. Hey. Sorry, I'm going to like half speak while I type because I am such like a single task person. Like I'll do one task really well, but when I start trying to do like multiple things like talk and type at the same time, I just utterly fail at it. So we'll see if maybe we can drum up a little bit more interest here. Let's go into the Game 2. Alright, so reminders are out on Facebook and on the Twitters. We'll see if we can get some new people in here. Hello, play Rumble Top. You know what? I would not be adverse to seeing a Rumble Top here. I think Rumble Top is a great pick selection, especially if you want to go into a CC chain heavy kind of wombo combo-ish team composition. But it has to be with the right composition. You don't just pick Rumble anymore. You did just miss a Braum support game. May come in again. I think the Crimson Rage clearly feels secure on his Braum. It was the only champion he had played multiple times yesterday. It did get banned out in their second series that they played yesterday. In both those games, Braum was banned out. So I'd look to probably see Braum played again in this game, unless someone chooses to ban him. I don't think he's high on the banned priorities list. So, especially since I think Georgia Tech feels good with the bans they had in Game 1, probably don't feel the need to change them up that much, and we are in game, so we now get to spectate. Sorry, I am occasionally taking sips of water to keep my voice running, in case you've ever solo casted. You go play or no. So here we go. Blue team, red team, I believe. Yes, so the red team here will be Georgia Tech. They're swapping sides in between the games. Gotta say, I like the team composition here from VCU a lot more than their last one. They're going to throw the Tanky Mundo into the top lane. They're going to have a Jinx Morganum in the bottom lane, which is a great snare composition. They're going to add a Vigard in the mid lane and a Gragas in the mid. This is a terrific sieging team. This is going to be very, very hard for Georgia Tech to deal with unless they play it very, very smart. So we will see Yuke in the top lane on that Kassadin. We are going to see the jungle Echo. We are going to see a mid lane Varus. This is going to be one of the things that can really fight the Siege Engine really well if they're careful. And then we're going to see Tristana and the Thresh here in the bottom lane. You are talking, we are 7 people. Dude, I've casted to crowds of 2 people. 7 people is Boku. So, if you want to laugh at the fact that I'm casting to 7 people, take your laughs. It's collegiate. You don't cast to that many people. Let us see. So yeah, one of the big things that can really go against the Siege Engine right now is the fact that Varus is going to have that very long-range Q, and then you have really good instant, uninterruptible dive coming out from the Echo and the Kassadin. Kassadin can Rift Walk, Echo can use his E, get in and close a lot of that space and get onto the Jinx and the Veigar without necessarily having to go through Veigar's cage. And if Veigar doesn't get the stun up, and Morgana isn't able to land the snare and the chompers don't stop them, they're going to run straight through the low damage, or the low health members of the VCU lineup. It's going to be really interesting to see how Mundo and Gragas really act as a meat wall to keep their squishies alive, but they're also going to have to dodge a lot of poke. Varus is an amazing poke champion. He's really good at disrupting your siege engines, so unless they are able to do something really substantial in protecting their carries from the poke, this is where a lack of the Braum is going to hurt them. Last game, they were able to really get around some poor positioning by the use of the Braum shield. Now that that's gone, they're going to have to be very careful about how they position themselves when in siege and defense situations. Last game, they got away with a lot of poor positioning thanks to the fact that Braum was going to soak up and eat a lot of the damage. That is now gone. They are going to have to watch their own positioning. The support will no longer be able to save them. And now that we are in game, I'm going to adjust around some of the portraits here, get everyone lined up where they should be. There we go. Yep, all nice and pretty. We are going to see Mundo start off with the Doran Shield. That's going to be interesting. Not a whole bunch of sustain as far as consumables. He's going to instead build that into the item. Everything else pretty conventional. I'm actually a little surprised to see the longsword start here from the Varus. Was expecting much more to be on the Flask side of it. You're seeing VCU move his 5 into Georgia Tech's jungle. They have been just spotted out. I think they actually got pinged out. I don't know if they got spotted out. But yeah, now Georgia Tech very much knows their 5 in their jungle. They are looking to match up a lot of the snares. They have some really good chain CC to interrupt a lot of the jungle opportunities. Had they been able to catch anyone from Georgia Tech out, Georgia Tech pings them out. There will be no engage, no level 1 fights here. You don't really want to fight this opposing team level 1. They had the Gragas barrel. They had the Qs coming out from Mundo. They probably would have had a Dark Binding from Morgana. Maybe a Cage or a Flame Chompers from Veigar Jinx had they felt the need for it. But it could have been a disastrous start had they been caught. But no one gets caught. They are going to get into their lane and jungling situations at very low cost. Rice Fox and Asian Devil will take the Grump. They'll come in pretty close to that level 2 that they want. You will help out Saber on the top side of the map as Emwu and Eckhart will deal with the bottom side jungle buff. Yep, and there we go. That's red down. Both bottom lanes have taken a jungle camp to get the advantage that they can. And Kaze is already low. Is that him putting out the poke? Veigar does not have a substantial amount of armor early in these games. Low base armor settings for him. Abdo Doom putting on some good damage onto Rice Fox, who's on that Tristana. Both hit level 2 at the exact same time. This was one of the things that cost Georgia Tech early in the last game, was the fact that Rice Fox did not hit level 2 at the same time as his opposing laner. It gave them a huge liability that it took a couple of minutes for them to eat through before they were able to finally get a CS advantage going. Kaze has been able to heal up. The levels and the use of a red pot have gotten him back up to full health in that mid lane, but he is still going to have to watch himself. He has huge wind-up casting times on both his auto attacks and on his abilities. If he's not careful, that can lead to him getting jumped on. He has also just blown his flash. It looks like a parallel convergence from Saber went into that mid lane. The threat of the stun had him jumping out as soon as possible. There goes a death sentence onto the Crimson Rage. Ricebox tries to go in. They do use the Ignite, but they won't get it. Apto is left relatively unharmed here and putting out a lot of the damage. The Ricebox and Asian Devil go hard for the kill. They don't get it, and they are now left on the unhealthier side of the trade. Emu getting in onto Yuke. Yuke does use the flash. Gank in top lane down immediately. Interesting to see if maybe he loops around for another shot, but Yuke is under tower now. Looks like he will be just fine. He still has plenty of pots to burn through before he's really going to feel that he is in too much of danger right now. We are seeing that both top laners have 5 red pots sitting in inventory. I don't look for any of them to go down soon unless assisted by a jungle gank. The Crimson Rage is now out of bindings. Oh, a great death sentence land. Will there be enough damage? Yes, Ricebox is able to take it. Is he able to catch? No, he does not grab the lantern. Saber does come in with a parallel convergence, but it's too late. He doesn't feel like going in. It'll be first blood over to Georgia Tech. Is that him now gets stunned up? He's going to eat the W from Vigar. Vigar trying to run away. The hail of arrows does hit him for a slow. Does pop a good number of the passive blight tokens that were on him. Takes out a good percent of his health. Eckert now trading with Yuke. Yuke's got a good bit of damage, but he's not going to be able to eat too many of those. Oh, great death sentence into a parallel convergence. That was a great CC chain there as Saber is able to pick it up. The proc of his third auto does give enough damage to finish off the Vigar, but give that one credit. That was a death sentence to drag him back into the parallel convergence, keep him there, stun their lands, a lot of damage coming out from Is That Him, and this mid lane is now in trouble, as Is That Him is at 43 CS to Vigar's 24. Vigar just blew his teleport to get back in lane. Is That Him has not had to use his cleanse yet, and the cleanse here is really important. A lot of Vigar's damage needs time to land, and if your opposing laner isn't going to be stunned up by your cage, the chances of your damage landing are pretty low. Okay, here comes Saber. He's trying to get onto Eckert here in the top lane. Parallel convergence does go out. It will be at the meeting point between the two. There we go. Parallel convergence lands. Gets a good bit of damage off. Gets a shield. Is not able to finish off. Yuke was not able to follow him up on that. Yuke does not really have his level 6 for damage. He doesn't really have a huge pool of mana to do any sustained damage right now. So not surprising to see him pull off there. Both he and Eckert here not really looking to go too far on the kill count. Both of them level 6 now, which means A, Muno is not going to die, and B, you're never going to catch Yuke again. So, they're both unkillable, just for very different reasons. Alright. Tyr is stacking up in the mid lane now. Varus trying to build up the mana pool to help himself out. Gragas coming in on the bottom gank. Yep, there goes the lantern for Asian Devil. He tries to fish the fat man from the bushes. Misses that. The counter gank from Saber will not come through as they were not able to keep anyone in that fight. Is That Him now just, oh, that poke's going to get worse and worse as the game goes along. One of the really interesting things about Varus' Q poke is it's not really based on his AD a whole heck of a lot here in the early game. A lot of the damage you're seeing coming across on the Vigar is the base damage. Also, the fact that most opposing mid laners do not build an armor-focused item first to mitigate a lot of the damage that's going to come through from him. So, not even a huge need for the armor reduction. Oh, great ultimate there by Is That Him to lock up Kaze. Kaze will go down. Saber is going to be able to help pick that one up. Another good gank there. And Kaze getting the treatment that he gave Is That Him in the last game takes him down. It is now 0-2 for Is That Him, 2-0 on Saber. Saber feeling good right now. And even better, he has been able to pick up his jungle item and a Sightstone. So this will be a dual Sightstone team as Asian Devil and Thresh will pick that up at his next back. He picked up the boots early in this one to help facilitate some roam to set up some Qs onto Apto. Black Shield for Morgana is able to nullify it this time. Oh, Asian Devil using his boots and mobility to land the play that he wanted. Will Ricebox be able to get enough damage? Yes, just enough. Picks up the kill. That is going to be a kill over in bot lane. It is 2-0-0 on Ricebox right now as they were able to pick up the Crimson Rage earlier. Both members of the VCU bot lane have a death right now. They are trailing 17 CS at the current moment. It is equal in items as far as the AD carries go, but that boost of mobility pickup for Asian Devil helping to land that play and really get things moving. One of the things I really love about how Georgia Tech is playing right now is they're setting up a lot of the games here by Saber by landing CC to ensure parallel convergence. They aren't risking the fact that the opponent could move out of the parallel convergence. They're saying, as soon as the parallel convergence is thrown out, we are throwing out abilities to keep you in it. Okay, Mwu is spotted out here. We see Asian Devil coming in. Yes, it will be Mwu going out through the Baron pit, trying to get away. Asian Devil is on the chase. He throws out the lantern. Yes, there goes the ultimate from the Varus. This is going to be a dead Gragas. Gragas is gone. They do leave Ricefox alone in bottom lane on that Tristana, but he is... No, that tower is not going to go down on this wave like it would have to for them to trade kills for a turret here. Apto is going to have to move off after the E from the Tristana lands. A lot of damage going through. A lot of physical damage. If you're wondering why that Black Shield did not burst on the move's usage, that is physical damage from Tristana's E. Is That Him keeping Kaze off the tower with the hail of arrows and the Q. Saber coming in for the gank. We're also going to see Heat coming down on the Castle. Will they be able to pick up the Crimson Rage? Yes, the slow from Ricefox lands. That's going to be enough as the Death Sentence lands as well. And they are going to make sure that the teleport goes to good use. Not only will they get the 2 kills, they're going to pick up the dragon. This will be first dragon of the game. This will open it up. No towers are down yet for either team, so not a huge gold lead despite the 7-0 kills, the 7-0 kill lead here for Georgia Tech. Hasn't opened up the gold lead like it could possibly be once these towers start going down. The second these towers start going down, we're going to see this 3.5k extend into the 5-6 range. Mwu able to dodge the Death Sentence there. Nice little juke. Really hard with as big of an avatar as Gragas is, especially how wide it is, to make sure that you're dodging really on-point skill shots like Death Sentence. Can be tricky, but we're seeing an almost 20 CS lead in the mid lane for Is That Him. Duke has gone even in CS with Eckert, which on Caston you never really expect a CS lead. Going even in CS is kind of the dream. And then we are seeing a 15 CS. Wow, 15 kill, that would be insane. A 15 CS lead here for Ricefox in the bottom lane, despite the fact that his support has been roaming a lot, making sure to use that Boots of Mobility to great effect. He's going to use it again. He misses the Q, and then the damage there is going to delay his Boots of Mobility getting back up and running, but there they are. He's probably going to try and run in for another play. A sign of a really good Thresh, in case you haven't seen it. A lot of the times when you're in the lower sides of solo queue, you're seeing Threshes that are really relying on landing the Death Sentence to be a big part of their CC chain. The really successful Threshes are the ones that can use their play to set up a Death Sentence, making sure that your auto instant ability, the one where you can absolutely control the timing of, landing that CC is super important. Ricefox there, he is going to have to grab the lantern. He is able to grab it. The ultimate is also down from Mwu. Wow, they blew the explosive cast there, trying to get Rice Fox, but he was able to grab the Lantern and get out. So big ultimate down here for VCU, as they're going to lose one of their really big sort of ganking tools here, especially towards that bottom lane. You expect to get that explosive cast while the opposing team is running through the bushes. It either throws them back away from tower, or it could even separate them in some cases, depending on what you want to do. Metamune is finished here for Is That Him. He also has a Brutalizer. This is a really big power spike here. For the Varus, his Qs are going to start doing some pretty substantial damage, as he now has AD to back up the base damage on his Q. Nuke is powering up quite well as well. He has finished his Rod of Ages. That's going to now stack up on time. He's actually in the second minute of it. Saber now on to Kaze, does not get the full stun. They miss the Varus ultimate. The parallel convergence does not land. They were trying to get onto him with nothing but pure force. Were not able to burst him down / land the CC that they needed to keep him down. He does get away. He does get back to turret. The question is, will he try and defend the turret with Saber still around? He has not been able to see Saber yet. I've not seen pings from him, but he does go back to his second turret. So let's say that he did see him, just hasn't pinged it out. Rice Fox and Asian Devil just keep on pushing this mid turret, or this bottom turret. Mid turret tier 1 is down. Emwu is here trying to land a gank. Here comes the teleport from Mundo. Mundo tries to get in, but he's not able to cut off the opponent, as Dark Binding couldn't go to stop them. Nuke is just going to town on this top lane turret. Look for that one to go down, since Eckert is already here on the bottom side of the map. Nuke does not have teleport ready to go, but there is no dragon on the bottom side of the map for VCU to take. I know the teleport was kind of necessary right now. They need to make an extravagant play to really even up this game, and now Eckert trying to get into the mid lane, but the Hail of Arrows will do a good job making sure that Is That Him is not going to be jumped on. Okay, here comes Emwu. They tried to use... There goes the ultimate. There goes a Q landing. Is That Him does not have the flash that he needs to get away. Eckert picks up a kill. So there we go. VCU is on the board, but it did take the ultimate from Gragas to keep him there. And they will now have to fight 2v2 in the top side if they want to. Vigar trying to make his way to the bottom. He's spotted by a pink ward. He's going to stop to take that out. Any advancement he would have on the map is stopped. But a great move to stop the bleeding there. It does take 3 characters moving to get Is That Him down. But with the Varus down, there was very little they could do pushing the top side after the first tier turret was taken. So... 2 turrets are down. It is a 5,000 gold lead right now for Georgia Tech. They're up 7-1 in kills. It is 2-1 in turrets and 1-0 in dragons. Question is, dragon is up in under a minute. TP is only up for you, so you look for him to push Ard here, as Eckert has no TP to get to the dragon. Should Georgia Tech follow through on this? Oh, wow. Here we go. There are 4 people for VCU in the bottom lane. The teleport is coming out from Nuke now. Oh, the Vigar Cage does not land. The Jinx Rocket does onto Asian Devil, but it's not enough to kill. Kaze and Emwu got into the lane, but haven't been able to do much. Here comes Saber from the back. It's a gank. Will they be able to get the Crimson Rage? The Crimson Rage will go down. It looks like they will also pick up Emwu. Yes, there we go. Vigar Cage does stop the aggression here from Georgia Tech, but there are 5 men in this bottom lane. Will they take the turret? Yet to be seen. Vigar holding it off, trying to stop the siege, trying to break the chain here. But it does look like Dragon will go down. They will have to trade top lane. Eckert was still in the top lane. He did not have a TP to come support and even out the numbers. Had he had the teleport, might have been a little bit of a different of a fight there. But I would not have foreseen it being a big difference. Georgia Tech does take dragon number 2, so it is now 2 dragons to 0. Eckert on to pushing the second tier top tower. He does have his E to give him the bonus attack power to try and take down turrets. It also gives him an auto attack reset and an auto attack buff. His next auto attack does increase damage based on his health. Really nice little kind of quality of life buff to him. Not substantially changing his kit, but giving him a nice added bit of damage that he did not have previously. building very conservatively on the Mundo. He's got a Sunfire Cape for split pushing. It's going to be very hard to leave Mundo alone in lanes. He does have enough damage to make his power take ability problematic. He also has enough ability to split push waves very quickly to be problematic. Youth just stopping the back here, doesn't really want to go onto him. He doesn't have enough damage in his own right to take it unless it was a very long sustained fight with zero intervention whatsoever. Eckert does use his ultimate, so he's going to heal up. Youth now knows that he has a window where Eckert could be vulnerable. I think they were trying to set that up with Emwu, use the ulti early to set up aggression from Youth, but Youth luckily not cut out by a Crimson Rage, does have a Death Sentence land. Apto trying to get the final bits of damage he needs on Ridesfox down. He does have the ultimate, but he's going to sit on it. He knows he doesn't have the damage for the kill, doesn't want to waste a rocket right here. Eckert just going to go back in base. You've really not too much to do here. The key movement here is going to be how Saber chooses to move about the map right now. He is setting up the difference. All the lanes at this point really are in an unkillable state in their own right. The bot lane here for VCU isn't really going to fight straight up right now. They're not going to fight in open space. Oh, Kaze does have the ultimate land from Is That Him? Is That Him in a bad spot now? It is him all alone with Eckert, but the Crimson Rage and Apto are fighting Saber right now. Will the Defense land? No, Defense does not land. Saber now going in. Is That Him gets caught up with the Gragas ultimate and the Apto ultimate. Saber now going to have to use the Chrono Shift to get away. Ridesfox is on the outside of this fight, does not have a whole lot of damage. Saber is able to jump away thanks to the Lantern. Ridesfox is able to get out. You unable to even be in the fight. Oh, Saber does have to blow Flash to get away from the Eckert Cleaver. Eckert trying to chase someone down, isn't going to be able to do it. Emwu going to put the Lantern out. GT sees that they're going to clear the ward. Death Sentence lands from Asian Devil. I don't know to what extent it's going to land. And now Eckert and Emwu are moving in. Aggressive moves there. Is That Him? Thought he had Fatal on Kaze, but he gets caught up by the stun. Ridesfox trying to get the damage. The heal comes out. He is able to get the kill though. Ridesfox wins the one-on-one. Is That Him now just trying to clear out as many of the minions on the wave as possible. The tank line here for VCU is building up quickly. The Sunfire Cape is already done for Eckert. He is building a magic resist item. Whether it's probably going to be Spirit Visage, given the fact that it's Mundo. The improved healing from the item will help him out immensely. He'll get a nice healing buff where he will heal more effectively. And not really a huge need for a Banshee fail right now. And then you have Gragas. He's already got the Cinder Hulk enchantment done, ready to go. He's got a Giant's Belt. He's got a Cloth Armor. I'm looking probably a Randuin's Omen from him at this point. Could be a Sunfire Cape, but I think a Randuin's would do them very well. Pings are coming out across the board. Red team kind of unsure as to where a lot of their opponents are right now, as they don't have as many depoys as they would probably like, but a good number enough. Kaze going to eat about half his health. Oh, a great cage there, but it won't be enough. But Apto comes in with some big crits here. There's the rocket. That's going to get dodged out. But the kill that they are able to get on Kaze answered right back. Is That Him drops to Apto coming in from the side as the stun lands from Kaze. So one comes in, one goes away. Kaze didn't even get his ulti off in that fight. How crazy is that? This is also going to be a hard game for Kaze, as he is a Vigor, and one of the things Vigor absolutely loves is facing opponents that do build AP. He gets bonus AP damage on his ultimate for the opponent's AP. So the higher you build your AP, the more damage he is able to do to you. Well, that's the sad thing about Varus, is he's an entirely AD-based champion. He's not going to do a whole lot of AP. Even Saber is not building a ton of AP. He's going to have to look for it to be a fight versus Yuke for him to feel that he has a really big ultimate to take a fight. But it is a 6.5k gold advantage here for Georgia Tech. They have Is-That-Him pushing in the mid lane. They have trapped VCU in the dragon side of the pit. Is-That-Him is going to blow his ultimate. He is going to eat a stun from Kaze. That is going to draw out his, Asian Devil gets thrown into the enemy team. He's going to almost drop. Only Morgana has dropped so far. It's Yuke going crazy in the backline as he has been able to pick up a triple. They were also able to pick up the Mundo. Who's going to finish off Emwu if they are able to? It's going to be Yuke. It's going to be a Quadra. It's a Quadra onto the Kassadin. Definitely not what you wanted to see here if you were VCU. And there goes a 4-0 surrender at the 23-minute mark. They felt the impending Kassadin calling there. And wow, 5-0-3 on that Kassadin. He had finished the Rabbies. The power was coming. And I think VCU just felt that they were at a point where they couldn't hold off. I definitely think they had a chance had they gone much more into fighting around their turrets. They really did not take the advantage of the siege composition, instead choosing to fight in open spaces or in the jungle. I think if they had controlled it more, put more pressure on Georgia Tech to defend turrets, rather than sitting back and kind of reacting in open space, might have had a couple more opportunities. How do I want to award this game? Jeez, so tough. I'm actually going to give this one to Asian Devil. I thought the death sentences and the flay plays in the bottom lane really gave them a huge advantage. I mean, you see 4 deaths onto the Jinx, 4 deaths onto the Morgana. He was using his flay death sentence correctly, which is flay to set up an easier death sentence, that I felt really pulled that lane ahead. And he even got into the mid lane to effect change there, helped get Is-That-Him rolling in that lane, helped get Saber some early kills. So kudos to Asian Devil. I give him the MVP for this game. And that will be it for round number 3. Georgia Tech will advance. And that is definitely a good sign for them. They will move on to round 4 of the NACC, the North American Collegiate Championship. And that will leave them one best-of-3 series away from qualifying for the South Best 8 and regular season play of the NACC at the start of next year. So this has been a great series. We definitely saw some good play here from Georgia Tech. I think this was a much cleaner game for them. Definitely a much cleaner game for Saber. No deaths this time, so let's hope that keeps up. Once again, all 3 damage dealers for Tech within 1,000 gold of each other. 9.6 on Rice Fox, 9.1 on Is-That-Him, and 9.3 on Yuke. I think their gold dispersion is great. Their damage dispersion is great. I will definitely look to see how they do in their next couple of games. Now, I'm going to turn off the stream here. We're going to take a rest. My voice is going to get really tired if I don't stop talking soon. I'll start drinking some water, get some food, and we will be back at probably 6:30 for the next set of games. So thank you for the time, folks. Definitely hope to see you back later on today as we try and get Tech into the top 8 of the South bracket.